I have here with me Dr Jade Murray, postdoctoral research fellow from the Turner Institute for Brain and Mental Health at Monash University. Jade, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
And we're discussing a world-first app which helps shift workers get more and better sleep. Can you tell us a little bit of background about this app and about the research which has led to this?
Absolutely. So what we know about shift work is that it has a number of adverse consequences, both immediate to the individual and also chronic and ongoing long-term effects. So some of those immediate effects include sleepiness and greater fatigue and less alertness, which then increases the risk of motor vehicle accidents, workplace injuries, those sorts of things. And the chronic, more longer-term effects include adverse health consequences such as cardiovascular disease, cancers, and also poorer mental health outcomes as well. And so knowing that about shift work, we recognise that there's a need to intervene to help improve outcomes for shift workers. And to date, much of that has been at an organisational or systemic level. So implementation of interventions at the organisational level that are effective to some degree, but don't take into account the impact of the individual variability we see within people in terms of how they adapt and function with shift work. So we really recognise that need for an intervention that would personalise to each individual shift worker. We developed this app to provide individualised and personalised sleep recommendations based on the very personalised information and inputs from each individual user.
Participants from this study, on average, were getting about 29 minutes more sleep per night or per day if they're sleeping through the day and working at night. How much does that extra sleep help throughout the shift? How much more spring does it put in their step?
Well, so from a scientific perspective, we see 29 extra minutes as an enormous increase, and that would be the case even for any non-shift working individual. But for shift workers, it makes a huge impact. What we saw in terms of our results in the study was a massive decrease in insomnia and stress symptoms, and a significant improvement in anxiety-related symptoms as well. But also, importantly, we had a high proportion of participants who reported that their sleep-related daytime impairment was improved quite greatly as well. And so, by increasing sleep duration, even by 29 minutes a night, there was a number of effects that improved outcomes for the shift workers.
And you mentioned earlier that this may help with driving to work, staying more alert on the road, not being so drowsy. What sort of an impact will this make, especially on people in more regional areas who are driving a long way to work, dealing with higher speed limits and more hazards potentially on the road with animals and that sort of thing out in the way? Yeah, what sort of a positive impact could this have on people in that sort of a situation?
Well, obviously, by improving their sleep and their well-being, we would see and hope that it improves their level of sleepiness, or reduces their level of sleepiness, particularly after shift, when they're at much greater risk of a motor vehicle accident. And for those, in more regional areas where they're driving for probably much longer periods of time and having longer time for that sleepiness after shifts to accumulate, if we can better manage, and the app helps them to better manage their sleepiness by improving their sleep before shift and then after shift, we would like to see a decrease and would hope to see a decrease in their risk of accidents. And obviously, an improvement in alertness for all those things you mentioned, the additional hazards, wildlife on the road, all of those sorts of things, that they have the alertness available to them after shift to avoid motor vehicle accidents and the like.
Sounds like there's been a lot of work put in, and it sounds like it's a fantastic app for helping people get more sleep. Is this app available to the public yet, or is it still going through a few final trials?
So it isn't yet, unfortunately, available. Although the findings of this study we're really impressed by, we've acknowledged there's a few further refinements to make to the app, but we also now want to further develop it as well to include some extra elements, notably those being the inclusion of information from wearable devices, so smartwatches, for example. And so currently it's not available to the public, but we hope that it will be very soon.
That sounds great. Hopefully it is available very soon because, like I said, it does sound very revolutionary. So what are the next steps for the app? Obviously, you want to develop it to a point where it is available to the public, but what exactly comes next?
The next steps are to further refine the app, and that is mostly further developing our algorithms and the integration of wearables, but also, we always flag within these studies some design things that the users provide feedback upon, so we'll make updates to those. And then we intend to carry out a large trial, much larger than the one we've reported on here, with a number of users. And so we will be then recruiting shift workers again to trial the app for an even longer period of time over the course of the trial period. And so we would invite any shift workers who might be interested in participating in that and being part of the trial to reach out to us and register their interest. And they can do that by, the easiest way to do that is to search volunteer Monash Sleep Research and click on the link that says volunteer base for Monash University.
And if anyone was interested in learning more, that Google search and heading to that website would be the best way of doing so?
Absolutely, yes.
Dr Jade Murray, thank you very much for your time. Good research going on there at Monash University. Much appreciated, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you very much. Thank you for speaking with me.